An all-volunteer force is one in which a U.S. citizen makes a choice to enlist in the U.S. Armed Forces for a duration specified in a contract or enlistment. That individual serves in a profession or career field known as the profession of arms. It's highly trained and skilled. At the end of the enlistment or the contract, the individual can choose to separate or continue to a 20-year retirement. Mandatory service is one in which the U.S. citizen is required to serve in the U.S. Armed Forces following graduation of high school for a minimum of 2 years. Some may not want to be in the U.S. Armed Forces, and they're only there to pull their time and leave. The mandatory service could lead to a less skilled force and less esprit de corps amongst the profession of arms. An all-volunteer force has been in place since the beginning of our country and used exclusively since 1973. Mandatory service has been utilized 4 times in our country's history: the Civil War, World War I, World War II, and the Cold War. Inside the Cold War era, it is broken down from 1946 to 1947 and 1948 to 1973 for the Korean and Vietnam conflicts. The legal implications of mandatory service are these. The citizen would be required by law to join the armed forces for a minimum of 2 years. If that citizen chose not to serve, they would be treated as a felon in the United States. The advantages of mandatory service. Mandatory service would lead to a chain reaction within the United States. According to articles, citizens would be less ignorant of the world around us and the country's involvement in foreign affairs. This would come from everyone in the country having something at stake in the government's decisions. Mothers would have children involved. Government officials would have children involved. And each citizen would be affected by the conflicts or wars the country would be involved in. Mandatory service would serve as a deterrent to our enemies, as they would know that each person in the country has some type of combat training. Once again, according to articles, a major problem in our country today is that of obesity and the health problems associated with this. With mandatory service, physical training would be a part of the military life, and this problem of obesity would go down. With mandatory service being implemented within the United States, more citizens would take our liberties and freedoms more serious and not take them for granted. A sense of civic duty and pride would come over our country yet once again.